Imagine discovering that friendship with Jesus can completely change the way you live and see life. It's not just an old story, it's a real promise, capable of filling your heart with peace, joy, and hope. But have you ever wondered, what was it like to be close to Jesus? How did he treat his friends? What did he teach in the simplest moments of everyday life? In this video, we're going to dive into one of the most beautiful aspects of the New Testament. Jesus walking, smiling, and sharing life with those who were by his side. We'll understand how he chose, cared for, and loved his friends, and how this still speaks directly to our hearts today. Many believe that following Jesus is difficult, full of rules, and far from our reality, but here you will discover that his friendship is simple, deep, and accessible to everyone, even children. Get ready to be moved and realize that the same Jesus who was a friend to Peter, John, and so many others, also wants to be your best friend. A clear truth, faithful to the word, and capable of transforming your faith in a practical and unforgettable way. You are about to discover that Jesus' friendship is not just a memory from the past, but a living reality that can transform your life today. Often, we think we know these stories, but there are deep and emotional details that reveal the heart of Christ in a way few notice. Perhaps you have already asked yourself, does Jesus really care about me? Can I be his friend even with my flaws? I understand these doubts, because we all seek answers and comfort for the soul. And this is exactly the beauty of this message. It is simple, clear, completely faithful to God's word, and applicable to your daily life. You won't hear complications, but a practical and transformative path. So, prepare your heart. Let us walk together side by side with Jesus and discover what it truly means to be a friend of the Son of God. When we think of Jesus, our minds often go straight to his extraordinary miracles, to the crowds that followed him, to the sermons full of wisdom and authority that echoed throughout Galilee and Judea. But if we look closely at the Gospels, we notice something precious. Jesus did not only preach, he did not only heal, he did not only confront the religious leaders of his time, he also had friends. And that is what we are going to dive into together today. We will understand the context in which Jesus called his disciples, how he lived with them in their daily lives, the moments of laughter, intimate teachings, correction, and encouragement. We will reflect on how this friendship can transform our lives today, and how the closeness of Jesus is not just for the 12 who walked with him 2,000 years ago, but also for you, here and now. Stay with me until the end, because the most exciting part of this story will reveal something profound. That the same Jesus, who was a friend to Peter, John, James, and many others, desires to be your friend as well, in a personal and real way. To understand this friendship, we need to remember the setting in which it all happened. The Jewish people lived under the rule of the Roman Empire, carrying the weight of political oppression, but also the spiritual expectation that the promised Messiah would come to set them free. Many expected a military or political leader, someone who would lead the people in a revolt against Rome. But Jesus came in a different way. He did not choose palaces. He did not approach the powerful seeking alliances. Instead, he walked through villages, entered simple homes, sat at the table with sinners, and extended his hand to fishermen, tax collectors, and ordinary people. In this context, he built deep and sincere friendships. At the very beginning of his ministry, Jesus called some men to be with him. Among them were Peter and Andrew, James and John, fishermen who knew the waters of the Sea of Galilee. They were used to long nights of work, sometimes without success, to the simple routine of their profession. But when they heard Jesus call, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men," something awakened in their hearts. They left their nets and followed him. This gesture shows the power of an encounter with Christ. He does not just speak, he touches the soul. From that moment, they would no longer be just disciples, they would become friends. We can imagine Jesus walking with them along dusty roads, sharing meals, talking about life, listening to their concerns, and answering their questions. The Gospels show us several of these scenes. At Cana, for example, when Jesus turned water into wine, his disciples were present. They witnessed the miracle and, more than that, experienced the joy of being next to someone who cared about the celebration, about the details, about the simple life of people. He was not just a distant teacher, he was someone close. Another revealing moment happens when Jesus visits the house of Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. There we see a clear picture of Jesus' friendship. He was not only preaching to crowds, but he allowed himself to be in a home, to sit, to talk, to listen. Mary sat at his feet, Martha busied herself with serving, and Lazarus enjoyed his presence. This family was Jesus' friend, and when Lazarus died, Jesus' tears at the tomb showed the depth of that relationship. The Son of God wept for a friend. What a powerful image. It shows us that Jesus' friendship is not superficial. He rejoices, he grieves, he shares life. Many of us, when we think about our own lives, have felt the weight of loneliness. We have wondered, does anyone really understand me? Does anyone walk with me through my hardest days? This story reminds us that Jesus understands. He not only knows what it is to be human, he experienced pain, joy, loss, and the bonds of friendship. And that is why he can be the closest friend we will ever have. During his walk with the disciples, Jesus also taught them privately. How many times did he explain parables that the crowds could not understand, but to his closest friends, he revealed the deeper meaning? This shows us that intimacy with Christ opens our eyes to truths that would otherwise remain hidden, just as he did with Peter, James, and John. He wants to take us deeper. He wants us to truly know him, not just hear about him. But friendship also involves challenges. Remember Peter? He boldly said he would never deny Jesus. Yet under pressure, he denied him 3 times. And still, after the resurrection, Jesus restored him with words of love. Feed my sheep. That is true friendship. It is not the absence of mistakes, but forgiveness and restoration. Perhaps you have failed in your faith. Perhaps you have felt distant from God. Know that Jesus is always willing to extend his hand, to restore, to renew friendship with you. What we learn from these stories is that being a friend of Jesus is not unattainable. On the contrary, it is the closest and most accessible calling there is. He imposes no barriers, demands no perfection, does not ask us to be different before approaching him. He calls us as we are, and along the way, he shapes our hearts. And here, I want to open my heart to you. Perhaps you think all this is beautiful but distant from your reality. Perhaps you think Jesus only had this special relationship with the disciples because they were physically with him. But the truth is that he promised to be with us until the end of time. When we pray, when we read his word, when we seek his presence, we experience the same friendship. It is not a memory. It is a reality. That is why this video is so special. Because we are not just remembering an ancient story. We are rediscovering a living promise. And before we move on to the deepest part, I want to invite you. If this message is already touching your heart, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear about Jesus' love. Here, you will always find Bible stories told clearly, faithfully to the word, and full of hope. And if you want to go further, we have extra materials that can help in your journey of faith. Just check the description. Now, we reach the most exciting part. Because Jesus was not only a friend while walking on earth, he demonstrated his friendship supremely by giving his life for us. In John 15:13, he said, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." Think about that. The Son of God, the creator of the universe, does not call us only servants, but friends. And that friendship came at the cost of the cross. He gave himself so that we could be forever by his side. This is the most transformative revelation. Jesus' friendship is eternal, indestructible, and perfect. This changes everything, because if he was willing to give his life for you, there is no circumstance, pain, or loneliness that can separate you from this love. Being a friend of Jesus means walking with someone who never abandons, who never fails, who always forgives. It is the assurance that even in the darkest nights, there is a faithful presence at your side. And perhaps this is the answer you have been waiting for so long. A friendship that never disappoints. A friendship that sustains. A friendship that saves. Today, Jesus extends his hand to you and says, "I no longer call you servants, but friends," and it is with this truth in our hearts that we now move toward the reflection for the closing. Because understanding that Jesus is our friend is not just knowing a beautiful story from the Bible, it is living a reality that transforms, consoles, and renews every day. Today we have walked together through stories that reveal the most intimate side of Jesus, the faithful, present friend who shares life with those who follow him. We have seen that he not only taught, but also listened, wept, smiled, and loved deeply. We discovered that this same friendship, which touched Peter, John, James, Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, is available to us here and now. The truth is simple, yet transformative. Jesus does not want to be just a distant Lord or an admired teacher. He wants to be your friend. A friend who forgives, restores, sustains, and gave his life for you. And when this friendship becomes real in our hearts, everything changes. Loneliness gives way to presence, doubt turns into faith, and hope is renewed day by day. If this message has touched your heart, don't let it stop here. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because every week we share new Bible stories that strengthen faith and renew hope. Also, leave your like on this video, because it helps this word reach even more people who need to hear about Jesus' love. And if you know someone who has been feeling lonely, share this video. It may be the gift that person's heart has been waiting for. Here on the channel, each story is prepared with care, always faithful to the Bible, so that children, young people, adults, and the elderly can experience the beauty of the gospel in a simple and transformative way. And before you go, be sure to watch the video that is appearing on your screen now. It will deepen your faith even more and continue this journey of hope and friendship with Christ.